Hello, I'm Jeremy, and welcome to another episode of Jeremy U's Music Reviews. I listen to music, and you hear my thoughts. Well, it's finally time to talk about the albums of 2022. But before we get to the good stuff, let's briefly go through the stuff that sucked. Start us off, Ryan Matt.
I think I probably wasn't in love with you. I think I probably love the idea of you. And though I may be missing the feel of you, I think I probably wasn't in love with you.
What doesn't kill you will only make you stronger. That's what everyone keeps telling me. I'd rather capsize than chase an old horizon.
While times like these, and thanks for asking, were surprisingly good, and The End was a solid closer that had a few rough edges, every other song on Afterlife was exactly what I expected. Obnoxious production, lyrics that range from laughably bad to mediocre, and Ivan Moody continuing to sound like a cartoon character. I'm sure the members of FFDP are nice people, but I just really cannot stand this obnoxious band. And the fact that this is only number 10 shows how awful these next albums are.
I think I probably wasn't in love with you. I think I probably love the idea of you. And though I may be missing the feel of you, I think I probably wasn't in love with you.
I think I heard a voice on my side saying, honey, I'm back. She looked up at me and said, no, you didn't. My gun was too far on the floor to get it. The door that swung open, I know that nigga.
She gon' make me blink.
Hands down, the biggest disappointment of 2022. DaBaby started off with so much promise, but then squandered it and farted out this mediocre, bland album with a pulse smaller than an atom and no creativity whatsoever. I expected a bad album from Five Finger Death Punch, but DaBaby, you should have been better. And don't even get me started on that Norbit parody video for Socks. Watch Kyle Nordy's Norbit film exaggeration if you want to know more about that crime against comedy.
I think I probably wasn't in love with you. I think I probably love the idea of you. And though I may be missing the feel of you, I think I probably wasn't in love with you.
Will of the People is an album that tries to make a statement, but ends up being an obnoxious, boring, garish, and annoying mess that says absolutely nothing and tries to replicate the theatricality of acts like Will Wood and Tally Hall without the genuineness, creativity, or talent that made both of those acts work. I don't have the most experience with Muse, but hopefully their older stuff is better than this.
I think I probably wasn't in love with you. I think I probably love the idea of you. And though I may be missing the feel of you, I think I probably wasn't in love with you.
Look, I love Ironic Enjoyment as much as the next guy, but there's a point where an album's badness transcends irony and just becomes bad. The Life of Stuart reaches that point the moment you hit play. The joke of a mouse rapping by endlessly squeaking gets old fast, and the album has nothing going for it beyond that. There are so many records that are funnier than this, both genuinely and ironically. So listen to those instead. Although, props for sampling Diamonds by Lil Xan. Sampling one of the most hated songs from one of the most hated rap albums of the 2010s is the closest The Life of Stuart gets to being funny.
I think I probably wasn't in love with you. I think I probably love the idea of you. And though I may be missing the feel of you, I think I probably wasn't in love with you.
I just wanna tell you it's the way I'm living. I've been living right, I've been living right, I've been living right, I've been living right. I've been living right.
The Island Boys are just awful. I'm an Island Boy was decent, but other than that, these two are as talentless as they are obnoxious. And while 17 was pretty bad, Trendsetters makes that album look like a masterpiece. The production is awful. The boys sound like Lil Xan after a terrible hangover, and the lyrics are meaningless, vapid nothing. The only value Trendsetters has is for Satan to play on loop in order to punish obnoxious lyrical miracle old heads in hell. Do not listen even as a joke.
I think I probably wasn't in love with you. I think I probably love the idea of you. And though I may be missing the feel of you, I think I probably wasn't in love with you.
Let me drive a little Benz, not me and my friends sliding a Mercedes. This is 559, this not that baby, but yes, the ladies.
One of the most worthless albums I've ever heard. This thing is 20 songs long and is filled with nothing but mediocre Playboy Cardi knockoffs with only 2 okay tracks to save it. As bad as the other albums in this list are, at least those artists bothered to make the songs distinct from each other. But Ken Carson basically just made the same song 20 times, slightly changed some elements, and then was like, done, this is my track list. No hate towards Ken Carson as a person. I'm sure he's a nice guy, but this album was just a torturous experience. Do not listen under any circumstances.
I think I probably wasn't in love with you. I think I probably love the idea of you. And though I may be missing the feel of you, I think I probably wasn't in love with you.
It'll never be how I used to be. Come on, player. I tried to spare it, I don't wanna hurt you, but I'm out to blink. Cause loyalty is the fucking virtue, until it ain't. In the back of the Maybach paper plates, put up the drapes, we on a date.
I'm done with Kodak Black. He's a talentless hack who fluked his way into making a couple good songs. And Cutthroat Bill Volume 1 is more boring, mediocre nothing from a man who sounds like if Lil Wayne swallowed a bullfrog. Why the Billboard Hot 100 refuses to give up on this man is nothing short of a mystery, and hopefully we don't get Volume 2 anytime soon.
I think I probably wasn't in love with you. I think I probably love the idea of you. And though I may be missing the feel of you, I think I probably wasn't in love with you.
Don't you worry about a thing,
cause everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright.
so don't you worry.
I was expecting this album to be bad, but not this bad. The only thing that even slightly redeems Elevation is that Simply the Best and Don't You Worry are inoffensively passable radio filler, and on the latter, Shakira sounds much better than she did on Girl Like Me. Every other song ranges from awful to the production is boring and obnoxious. The samples are inexplicable. The P's sound terrible. The features range from to garbage. And the lyrics are so brain-shatteringly vapid and stupid. Even Bud and Doyle from Biodome would shut this off. At least Translation has Ritmo and Vita Loca. This has nothing! An absolute garbage pile of an album from a band that fell off a long time ago.
I think I probably wasn't in love with you. I think I probably love the idea of you. And though I may be missing the feel of you, I think I probably wasn't in love with you.
Bitch, I'm one and young Weezy, man, this shit too easy. Different bitch for every season, showing me they cleavage. I take drugs and feel relaxed, it's like that therapeutic.
As much as I hate Elevation, at least that album could register in my mind enough to piss me off. But with DS Forever, I just feel nothing, which is far worse. There is no element of DS Forever that has even an ounce of passion or effort. The production is agonizingly dull. Gonna sounds terrible. The features are either too good for this album or actual garbage, and the lyrics are either idiotic or forgettable. There is absolutely nothing redeemable about this empty husk of an album, and the fact that this beat Dawn FM is absolutely horrible. Screw DS Forever. Before we get to the one 2022 album I hated more than DS Forever, we have two dishonorable mentions.
Fuck a pigeonhole, I'm a night owl, it's a different mode. I'ma have to make a paint of 6 on a pinky toe. Heard you with a shooting guard, just let a nigga know. I would have you courtside, not the middle row.
As much as I dislike Honestly Nevermind, I will admit that there are some redeeming factors that make it a mere DM. It's short, with a brisk 14 tracks. Songs like Massive and A Keeper have solid production elements. The intro is fine. Jimmy Cooks has slowly grown on me, and even though the results are as experimental as a non-Guardians of the Galaxy MCU movie, I can at least respect Drake for attempting to do something different. But despite those factors, Honestly Nevermind is still a boring, mediocre, and an essential nothing burger of an album. And Renaissance did this sound way better. Glad you like it, Rough Criminal, but it's just not for me.
I'm the cold cash money kid making mistakes. They're taking the money troubadour, rocking the brakes. Slapping snowflakes, straight raking the frauds. Fuck Superman, I'm a man of God.
Kid Rock is the Alex Jones of music. An overblown and ridiculous parody of himself that we are somehow supposed to take seriously. And his 2022 album, Bad Reputation, 100% shows that. While the songs in this album have the same kind of misguided America style patriotism of songs like Progress and Am I the Only One, unlike those songs, which are trying to be genuine anthems to rally the people through a common cause, the songs in Bad Reputation are incredibly over-the-top, insane white trash that's as ridiculous as humanly possible. And it's downright hilarious. Songs like We the People, Never Quit, Allah effing Bama, Don't Tell Me How to Live, whose features artist is literally a band named Monster Truck, My Kind of Country, and the title track feel like parody songs made to satirize conservative idiots. But Kid Rock is playing them completely straight, which makes them even more funny. And on top of that, the production is actually pretty good, which with energetic and infectious rock grooves that almost make you forget the insane nonsense Kid Rock is spewing, and Shakedown is the closest Bad Reputation has to a genuinely good song. Seriously, that track goes really hard. It's cool to see Kid Rock making a song with his actual kid, and F Superman, I'm a Man of God is a hilarious lyric. So yeah, Bad Reputation is a terrible album. It literally has a Snowflake advisory sticker on it. Of course, it's freaking terrible. But it's just so much fun. If you want an enjoyably bad album to laugh at, definitely give Bad Reputation a listen. And enjoyably stupid Disaster Beast that I just had to mention in this video. And now number 1.
I don't love it much at all.
Build me up from dust and ash. I could never not love you so. I'll do the one thing you ask. I love you enough to let you go.
Trauma Queen by Gabby Hanna isn't just bad. It's fascinatingly bad. Like, this album needs to be studied in a laboratory. It's that fascinatingly bad. Everything about TQ is so uniquely awful. It's almost impressive. The production is horrendous. Gabby Hanna sounds awful, and the lyrics are so reprehensible, they make Tyga look sympathetic. Any redeeming elements? Stoneheart is okay, that's pretty much it. It's simultaneously amazing and infuriating how much Trauma Queen fails at everything it intends to do. And it honestly has to be seen to be believed. An intriguingly terrible project that's my pick for the worst album of 2022. And now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's talk about the good albums, because holy cow, 2022 was an incredible year for albums. There were so many great albums from several different artists of several different genres, to the point where I had to make painful cuts to the honorable mentions. That's right, I had to make cuts for the albums that couldn't be on the official list. That's how good 2022 was for albums. And now that we've gotten the worst albums out of the way, let's get to the best. We're counting down the top 10 best albums of 2022, in my opinion. Start us off, Chance. Can't wait for his album, by the way.
Who is you and who the fuck is you and who is him? All of a sudden, who up the bam? You can't touch me, nah, 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 nah. I got angels. I got angels.
This album is only number 10. If that doesn't show you how good of a year this was for albums, I don't know what will.
What's that you said to me? Oh, I'm a chaos space marine, so what? I love you, darling, will you take my metal hand?
Ants from Up There is, in a word, beautiful. It's not really hard to see why it got so much acclaim, as there's just a beautiful, rustic charm to the album that really helps make the audience warm up to it. Songs like Chaos Space Marine, A Bread Song, and Mark's Theme just have an elegant beauty to them. A soft and warm delicateness combined with a folksy charm that feels reminiscent of a Bob Ross painting. And don't even get me started on the absolute masterpiece that is Concord. There's just no album like Ants from Up There, with its elegant folksiness combined with a subtle theatricality and gorgeous vocals. I guarantee that in a couple years, we'll be looking at Ants from Up There the way we look at Dark Side of the Moon now. As like that album, Ants from Up There has a certain timeless classical quality to it that makes it feel almost immortal. It's definitely one of those albums you have to be in the right mood for, especially for a track like Snow Globes, which is 9 minutes long and the vocals don't kick in until the 3-minute mark. But overall, if you're able to set some time aside and fully immerse yourself in an experience, Ants from Up There is a good one to do so with. It's a very elegant, soft, and sweet album that feels like you're walking through a painting. I'm sure I'll get pushback for listing this album as only number 10, especially given the albums I'll be talking about later in this video, but its placement on this list doesn't change how friggin' phenomenal Ants from Up There is. I don't know what's next for Black Country New Road, but if they keep making awesome music like this, I'm sure they'll be in good hands. Great record, check it out.
Who is you and who the fuck is you and who is him? All of a sudden, who up the bam? You can't touch me, nah, 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 nah. I got angels. I got angels.
Easy Life's debut studio album, Life's a Beach, was a pretty solid indie album with some cool tracks and an enjoyable vibe. But as good as that album was, EL somehow managed to freaking top themselves.
Ice blast, ice blast. You're talking trash, mate. 1 minute you were saying we were best mates, sharing toothpaste, and the next minute I'm really thinking fast.
I've been a fan of Easy Life for a while. Their breezy bedroom pop style really matched my musical aesthetic. And while I knew that maybe In Another Life was going to be good, it somehow managed to exceed my expectations. Not only does this sophomore effort manage to perfectly capture the vibe of their previous projects, but it manages to amplify it to an absurdly awesome degree. I will admit that the title track is a pretty wimpy opener, but then you get to tracks like the soothing and boppy Basement, the insanely infectious and cool Gus Dapperton collab Antifreeze, the insanely calming lead single Beeswax, the elegant and jazzy Growing Pains, and the absolute masterpiece that is Bubble Wrap, and it just all comes together. Murray Matravers and crew really went all in on this album, managing to capture the bedroom pop vibiness of Life's a Beach and Junk Food, and refine it in an incredible way. I was initially pissed when the album was delayed, but looking back, I can see that the delayed time really allowed the Easy Life boys to perfect their craft. If you haven't heard Easy Life yet, this is a fantastic way to get yourself into them, as it's everything that makes Easy Life awesome wrapped up in a neat little package. Oh, and Kevin Abstract and Benet are also pretty good on this album, can't forget about them. Overall, Maybe In Another Life is just an incredible project that takes an already awesome band and somehow makes them even more awesome. Every individual element comes together to make an incredibly potent and elegant vibe that really fills me with joy and calm. Phenomenal job, lads. Super excited for what Easy Life makes next.
Who is you and who the fuck is you and who is them? All of a sudden, who after them? You can't touch me, nah, 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 nah. I got angels. I got angels.
I discovered a lot of new music this year from various artists I've never heard of. From Grim Salvo to Jerry Paper to OKK and many others. And this album is one of the first I've found.
Dream on, dream on. Even when you're afraid all your dreams may be gone. Just dream on, dream on.
While Ben Rector was a name I vaguely heard tossed around my music recs, I never really seeked him out until I saw the phenomenal trailer for The Joy of Music. It was an incredibly grand, immersive, and enjoyably theatrical trailer that really made me excited to check the album out. And when it came out, I was greeted with a beautifully wholesome and enjoyably theatrical project. From the moment you hit play and hear the elegant and incredible opening track Dream On, Ben Rector and the audience are taken on a fantastical journey through an amazing musical landscape full of jazzy, theatrical awesomeness. There are so many standout songs, from the infectious and jazzy Supernatural, to the beautiful and funky It Would Be You, to the heartfelt and warm Steady Love, to the beautiful and incredible Hanging Out with that awesome sax riff from Kenny G, to my favorite track Sunday with its infectious production and lyrics, warm vocals from Ben Rector, and killer guest verse from Snoop Dogg, and of course the closing track Joy, which not only gives the album an energetic and bombastic finale, but also has an incredibly heartfelt and beautiful closing monologue from Ben Rector himself, thanking everyone who helped make the album. The Joy of Music just has a warm wholesomeness to it that really helps put a smile on my face. It's an album that just feels so genuine and heartfelt. It's not aiming to please a chart. It's not aiming to seem cool or hip. It's just Ben Rector trying to help his audience find the joy within themselves. And I am an absolute sucker for that sort of thing. Not to mention how I actually got Brad Taste in Music to review this album. No, I'm not kidding. I suggested Brad take a look at The Joy of Music, and he did a crossover live stream with Path Reacts reviewing this album. He didn't like it as much as I did, but he didn't hate it at least, and it allowed The Joy of Music to be known by more people, so I consider it a win. The Joy of Music by Ben Rector is just an incredibly wholesome and magical album that takes you through an amazing experience hosted by Ben Rector and that fuzzy monster Joy. It may only be my 8th favorite album of the year, but it's an album that left an undeniable impact on me and made me a full-blown Ben Rector fan. Ben, I had as much fun listening to this album as you did making it, and I can't wait to see what else you have in store.
Who is you and who the fuck is you and who is them? All of a sudden, who after them? You can't touch me, nah, 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 nah. I got angels. I got angels.
I've been a fan of this duo for a while and was very excited to see a new album from them. And now that we've got one, I'm so freaking glad because it's amazing.
Know that it's alright to make a couple changes. Oh, it might just be stage fright. Enjoy the occasion.
The Occasion is just an insanely good album. Like Life's a Beach, it manages to allow Michael Stensland and Ben Baker to put their best foot forward and establish what exactly their music is like in a very interesting way. There are so many awesome and iconic songs on this thing, from the phenomenal title track to the incredibly catchy and awesome Hotel Rooms, which was actually an honorable mention on my best of 2022 list. I liked it that much. To the breezy and infectious Like the Holidays, which also has a fantastic instrumental break, to the catchy and fun Sammy Rash collab Turn Out Fine, to the relaxing and cathartic You Suck, to the relaxing and catchy Love Lost and Found, which also has great vocals from Malls, to the really nice and soothing Stories of Last Summer, to so many more. Where their 2021 EP, Guess It's Just Life, served as a good appetizer, The Occasion is a delicious main course with some enjoyably sticky production, soulful vocals from Michael Stensland, multiple well-executed guest verses, and very unique and heartfelt lyrics. Like The Joy of Music, there's just such a natural genuineness to The Occasion. It really helps make the audience warm up to it. And of course, their music is very reminiscent of AJR, an act I've been unapologetic about loving ever since my first days as a music critic. It is honestly criminal that the Astronomers aren't talked about more, as they are a legit fantastic duo with a lot of talent and likability. And the occasion is a record that perfectly does them justice. If you love really catchy, relatable indie pop, give this album a listen, as well as Guess It's Just Life. Fantastic work, Michael and Ben. Thanks for making awesome music, as well as commenting on my initial review of her album, and thanks to Daybreak Mashups for introducing me to this fantastic group.
Who is you and who the fuck is you and who is them? All of a sudden, who after them? You can't touch me, nah, 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 nah. I got angels. I got angels.
2022 was a pretty good year for rap. There were some genuinely incredible projects from many different rap subgenres. But there were 2 rap sub-projects this year that rose above the rest. And here's one of them.
Baby girl, have faith in a nigga without a job and let a nigga stay at your place. Play it for your friends when I drop a mixtape. Both of us will win if I get a big break. Broke nigga dick, baby, had a long day. Tryna get rich by your dose. Ain't gonna on a baby, to be honest.
JID is a really interesting figure. He has a skillful flow, awesome lyricism, and charisma to spare. And like with Easy Life, he managed to exceed my high expectations with the Forever Story. There is just so much relaxing atmosphere on this album. Where Life's a Beach was more of a breezy, poppy kind of relaxing, the Forever Story is more dark and mysterious. It kind of feels like a less disturbing version of Note, having the same grand atmosphere and subtlety without any of the horror elements. It really gives the Forever Story a unique feeling that makes it such a great album. And the songs themselves are just amazing. From the phenomenal opening track, Galaxy, which is very short, but uses its brevity well, as it's able to perfectly soothe the mind and prepare it for the excellent experience you're about to have with this album, to the incredibly elegant and soothing Stars, to the absolutely fantastic Crack Sandwich, to the enjoyably odd fever dream that is Just in Time, to the absolutely phenomenal Cody Blue 31, to the unique and cool Dance Now, to the soothing and cool Brudina, to the absolute banger that is Radar, to the incredibly atmospheric and ethereal closer Lauder 2, and don't even get me started on the album's phenomenal lead single, Surround Sound. Dear God, does that song slap. As for the features, they're pretty solid. The only one that's kind of is Baby Tate on Surround Sound, as she's not terrible, but she's very disposable and forgettable. But the rest are great. 21's feature on Surround Sound is a great guest verse that shows his strengths as an artist. Lil Durk's verse on Blood in Him is pretty smooth. Lil Wayne's verse in Just in Time is perfectly solid. Kenny Mason's feature on Dance Now adds some cool atmosphere. Ari Lennox kills it on Can't Make You Change. Earth Gang is effective on Can't Punk Me. Between this and their verse in Sam Henshaw's Church, I might check these guys out. Yasin Bey's feature on Stars makes that song even more of a vibe than it already is. Jonta Austin is great on Better Days, and Raven Lene is fantastic on Lauder 2. The features manage to perfectly fit their songs and sound good on their own right, but don't carry focus away from JID. Pretty solid features. Finally, we have the lyricism, which is great. There are so many really interesting, clever, and elaborate lyrics that really make the album stand out and show how talented JID is. Oh, and of course there's the song 2007, which wasn't on the album initially, but was recently added into the album through an extended edition. And while I don't love it as much as tracks like Surround Sound and Stars, it's still a great song. So yeah, the Forever Story is just such a good album. The production is unique and awesome. JID kills it on every song. The features range from mediocre to fantastic, and the lyrics are just so friggin' good. If you haven't heard this album yet, you're missing out, as it's an absolute treat. I'm so excited to see what JID is cooking up next, as the dude has a lot of talent that I'm really excited to see explored. And the fact that this album isn't even in the top 5 should show how awesome these next couple albums are. Fantastic job, JID. Keep being awesome.
Who is you and who the fuck is you and who is them? All of a sudden, who after them? You can't touch me, nah, 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 nah. I got angels. I got angels.
Remember when I said there were 2 rap projects this year that rose above the rest? Well, here's the other one.
Sipping on something and whipping it slow. 2010, I remember when I was living in my godmother's in G-Bird. That's my word. Bumping Mac Miller, kids, cushion OJ Wiz. Look in the mirror, I'm hoping it's his day. Give a fuck what the kids say.
Vinyl Days is the definition of the right way to make a long album. This thing is a 30-song long behemoth, but despite that, it never gets boring. From the second the opening track Danger starts, with its awesome Morgan Freeman narration, fantastic introduction of the album's production samples that sound like they're all coming in to start the show, and Funkmaster Flex serving as a great hype man, you are treated with a deep-sea immersive dive into the world of Robert Bryson Hall II. There are just so many cool tracks, from the relaxing and jazzy Tetris, to the spacey and cool Orville, to the absolute bop that is Breath Control, which also was a killer beat switch up, to the toe-tapping and breezy In My Lifetime, to the absolute masterpiece that is La Donda, to the infectious banger that is Bleed It, to much, much more. There are also a couple of skits and interludes that, while some might not love, I personally think really add atmosphere to the album and contribute to the overall immersion well. Plus, the interlude where Anthony Fantano calls and is like, "What exactly do you want me to do?" is pretty funny. And the features. Oh my god, the features. I don't know what it is about Vinyl Days, but it just brings out the best in everyone. From Wiz Khalifa's smooth verse and Breath Control that serves up as a good build-up to Logic's verse, to Action Bronson being his enjoyably chill self on In My Lifetime, to Blue, Exile, and Like absolutely killing it on Orville. Plus, it's cool how Fantano himself actually introduced Blue and Logic to each other in order for them to make the song. Thanks, dude. To The Game's solid verse on I Guess I Love It, to DJ Premier's awesome contribution to the title track. Even Russ, who's normally just okay, does a great job on Therapy music. Like the Forever Story, the features on Vinyl Days are perfectly executed, adding to the song phenomenally, without distracting from Logic himself. Speaking of which, Logic's flows on this thing are immaculate. He manages to retain the awesome wordplay and lyrical skill that made albums like Under Pressure and The Incredible True Story. Check out The Incredible True Story, by the way. It's an incredibly underrated project. So awesome. With some clever bars, a laser-fast flow, and a ton of charisma. But what really makes Vinyl Days such a great project is the production. The production aesthetic of this album is so unique, with a 90s boom bap sound combined with some incredibly cool samples and sound bites that really give the album some flavor. It's easily some of the best production of the year and makes a great album even better. Bottom line, Vinyl Days is an incredible project. That's easily my favorite rap album of 2022. While No Pressure would have been a good swan song, I am so glad that Logic's retirement wasn't permanent in order for him to give us this great album. I'm sure I might get some pushback for listing this album higher than The Forever Story, and don't get me wrong, that album is amazing, but the pure immersion and intricate uniqueness of Vinyl Days really makes it an admirable project. I don't know what's next for Logic. Maybe he'll actually retire, or he'll continue making new projects. I did hear that he's working on an album called College Park. We'll see if anything comes out of that, but until we see any development, we still have this amazing rap album. Great job, Bobby Boy. Also, check out Logic's instrumental album from this year, Peanuts. It's also fantastic.
Who is you and who the fuck is you and who is them? All of a sudden, who up the bam? You can't touch me, nah, 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 nah. I got angels. I got angels.
It was a really close call whether this or the album that I ended up picking at number 3 would rank higher. But while the album I picked for number 3 won out, this one's still really good.
Flying like a fast train, I don't feel a thing. Till when I pull into my station, I just crash and burn. Yeah.
Watch My Moves is pure vibes. It's an incredibly relaxing and soothingly psychedelic LP that makes you feel like you're walking through a park on a nice summer day. Like Vinyl Days and Ants from Up There, Watch My Moves is a very immersive album, with an enveloping feel that allows you to be transported into Kurt Weill's surreal little relaxing world. It just has this unique otherworldly feel that makes it feel unique from other relaxing albums. Kurt Vile's voice is also soothing and calming. I haven't really heard of Vile before this album, but it's a good first impression, as his vocals have a really relaxing 60s feel that really gels with the production to make the album feel like it melts in your ears. The lyrics also have this really nice homespun charm and quirkiness that really makes them pop. And like Ants from Up There, it makes the album feel very rustic and folksy. As for the individual tracks themselves, there are some great moments in here, like the plink plunky opener Going on a Plane Today, to the relaxing bops that are Flying Like a Fast Train and Mount Airy Hill Way Gone, to the decent instrumental interlude Shiny Things, to the long and immersive as hell Like Exploding Stones, to the decently toe-tapping Hey Like a Child, to the insanely soothing Palace of OKV in reverse, to many others. It's a solid track list that's a really good first impression for Kurt Vile. But what really makes Watch My Moves such a great album is its simplicity. Where The Forever Story is an insanely elaborate album with a lot of intricate elements, Watch My Moves is just a relaxing album, nothing more, nothing less. And like Sunroof, that simplicity gives WMM a nice charm. It doesn't set out to be this grand masterpiece. It's just a humble little album that wants to make songs to relax with. Watch My Moves is just a really nice album. The production is enjoyably psychedelic, Kurt sounds great, and the lyrics are so unique. If you like albums that are incredibly soothing and psychedelic, Watch My Moves is a great album to check out. Fantastic job, Kurt. Keep being soothing and cool.
Who is you and who the fuck is you and who is them? All of a sudden, who up the bam? You can't touch me, nah, 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 nah. I got angels. I got angels.
Before I start this section of the video, let me address something. The man who made this album was accused of some pretty bad stuff. I am not defending or accusing the man of any claim he received. I am just praising the music. Hopefully the stuff he was accused of is false, but if not, we'll take that road when we get there. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, Who Cares by Rex Orange County is freaking incredible.
Can I open a window? Can somebody open the door? There's so many reasons.
If I could sum up Who Cares in one word, that word would be cozy. This is a very cozy album. There's just such a warm kindness and compassion to Who Cares that really makes all your worries go away. The reason I had trouble deciding whether Who Cares or Watch My Moves would end up higher is that I love them both for the same reasons, that being their soothing calmness and humbleness. But what made me end up picking Who Cares to be ranked higher is its accessibility. Where WMM is an album that you have to be in the right mindset to enjoy, Who Cares you can put on at any time and just have a blast. There are so many fantastic tracks on this thing, from the absolute bop that is the opening track Keep It Up, to Open a Window with its relaxing atmosphere and great guest verse from Tyler, the Creator, to the elegant and majestic Amazing, to the boppy and fun title track, to the incredibly sweet and comforting One in a Million, to the catchy and fairy tale like Worth It, and so much more. I just really like how warm and comforting this album feels. And while I've heard some people call this record boring, I have to vehemently disagree. True, the album doesn't take any large risks and generally stays in the lane of sweet and soothing indie pop, but that isn't necessarily a bad thing. As Nicky Yore's Sunroof proves, simplicity can be charming in its own way, and Who Cares demonstrates that perfectly. I don't know if this will make a lot of people's best albums list, especially given Rex Orange County's recent controversy, but I honestly just love how cozy and comfy this album feels. I'm honestly a sucker for this kind of sound, and Rex Orange County does it so well. Not to mention how any record that has a feature from Tyler, the Creator, is clearly doing something right. If you haven't heard this record yet, please do, as it's fantastic. Great job, Rex Orange County. We'll see what happens in the future.
Who is you and who the fuck is you and who is them? All of a sudden, who up the bam? You can't touch me, nah, 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 nah. I got angels. I got angels.
I was totally expecting this album to be my favorite of the year. It was my most anticipated album of 2022, It was made by a guy who made one of my favorite albums of all time, and it's 100% my aesthetic. And while it just got beat out by a different album, second place ain't half bad. While it doesn't manage to supersede the absolute masterpiece that is the Normal album, In Case I Make It is a pretty decent follow-up. With the exception of the main character, the tracks in Case I Make It are a lot more relaxed and calm when compared to the more exuberant and excited Normal album. I like this change, as not only does it make ICIMI musically distinct from the Normal album, but it also gives the LP a lot of atmosphere. Tracks like Tomcat Disposables, Cicada Days, White Noise, not to be confused with the Netflix movie of the same name, and Willer just have a nice relaxing charm to them. And You Liked This, OK Computer, and Big Fat Bitchies are both solid interludes that add to the craziness of this album well. I can definitely see someone not gelling with In Case I Make It's theatrical flair, but as someone who loves acts like AJR and Tally Hall, I love this kind of theatricality. I am a sucker for both the weird and bizarre and the theatricality of Broadway, so I really enjoy what this album has to offer. Will Wood also sounds great. One of the reasons Wood is such a great artist is how he's able to pull off calm and soothing and energetic and chaotic with expert precision, and be able to switch between both at the drop of a hat. And in this album, he sounds fantastic. His soothing voice blends with the production to make In Case I Make It sound like musical bliss. It's a really great series of performances from Cool Dude. And of course, the lyricism is top notch. This album has so many fascinating and interesting lyrics that really demonstrate Wood's penchant for the absurd. And of course, there's the amazingness that is Sex, Drugs, Rock and Roll, an incredibly tender song that demonstrates Wood's maturity as he rejects his old persona with incredibly interesting, poignant, and thoughtful lyrics. Seriously, Sex, Drugs, Rock and Roll has some of my favorite lines of the year. It's that good. Bottom line, while it pales in comparison to the Normal album, In Case I Make It is still an incredibly cool and enjoyable follow-up to a straight masterpiece, with a relaxing and enjoyably theatrical charm and Will Wood's absolute awesomeness. I don't know what's next for Wood, but whatever's in store, I'll be there for the ride. Great job, Will Wood. You're such a goat. And before we get to the best album of 2022, here are the honorable mentions.
Say I love you, girl, but I'm out of time. Say I'm there for you, but I'm out of time. Say that I care for you, but I'm out of time.
The first major release of 2022 and a great one to start the year. While it didn't start out incredibly strong, with the solid but not musically distinct lead single Take My Breath, Dawn FM quickly turned itself around with a great premise, a cool atmosphere, awesome vibes, fantastic features, hello again Tyler the Creator, solid rhythm, and able being able. All hail the weekend.
I can't complain, I mustn't complain. I mean, things are going good, right? Maybe I need a day, perhaps a couple of days. Or maybe it's just fuck life.
The most underrated album of the year. There is so much versatility, creativity, and atmosphere on Deception Falls, and I'm really excited to see where X-Society goes from here. Please give Deception Falls a listen if you haven't already.
Walk around the hood like I'm John Wayne. 9 on my hip, I'ma let that bitch bang. I'ma give them what they gave us on the first grade.
The third best rap album of the year, and the album that made me get into Denzel Curry. The production is soothing, Denzel sounds fantastic, the lyrics are awesome, and the features range from okay to amazing, with T-Pain's verse on Troubles being a major highlight. Super excited to go through more of Denzel's discography. Pure freaking beauty. Like Dawn FM, I Didn't Mean to Haunt You has an incredible premise and also utilizes great production, phenomenal vocals, amazing lyrics, a solid feature from Danny Brown, and an impeccable vibe. Just listen to this album, man. It's so good.
Girl, I hope you understand. I wanted to hold your hand, but I can't. Wanted to be your man back then. And so far never held you with my arms, so it's hard to be the one you aren't with.
I have mixed feelings on IDGAF, but otherwise Serotonin Dreams is a really fun and cool album that's a good conclusion to the Dreams trilogy. The production is unique and fun, Boy With You sounds fantastic, the features are decent, and the lyrics are very unique and introspective. I am so glad I found out about this awesome man, and I'm psyched for what he makes next. Also, considering how the internet handled Dreams unmasking, I'm perfectly fine with Boy With You never doing a face reveal.
I've got this world, I think I'm building and it does. I believe there's a couple of things I'm believing in time. Just get ready, it'll all collapse. I think that things will fall apart. The grass might change again.
An absolutely potent vibe with amazing production, soothing vocals, and incredibly unique lyrics. This album is just so unique and cool, and I'm excited to go through Animal Collective's discography to see what other awesome stuff they've made. Great work, guys.
Bang, everybody, as you step up in the party and we do it, are you ready or not? Flying like a rocket, ain't nobody else can stop it. How we moving, are you ready or not? Watch the way we kill them, and you know we gonna get them and hit them. Now, are you ready or not? Tell me if you're ready or not.
A pretty good follow-up to a pretty awesome album. I know a lot of people were disappointed with Funk Wave Bounces Volume 2, and sure, it's not as good as the first one, but I still thought FWB2 was a solid and fun vibe that really makes me feel at ease. Really strong series of vibes from a solid producer.
It's a good night to be high. Sober again, it's a lie. Therapy said that I might do it again and die.
I don't care what anyone says, mainstream sellout rules. Sure, it's immature, sure, it's goofy, sure, most of the features carry it, and sure, it's nowhere near as good as Tickets to My Downfall, but I just really enjoy this album. Mainstream Sellout is just an incredibly raw, ridiculous pile of pop-punk cheese that I just really love. It's basically the Biodome of albums, an incredibly stupid and vapid project that's bad on almost every objective level, but just has such an enjoyably goofy sophomore charm and innocence that I can't help but get wrapped up in its stupidity. I know this album has made a ton of worse lists, but I don't care. I friggin' love it. Pure mindless goofiness from an unabashedly ridiculous artist.
I'm supposed to know how deep. I'm supposed to know how deep. I fall, stuck up in my arm, I'll be. Didn't mean to take that leap. My fault, I'm supposed to know how deep.
I was really excited to see Ty Verdez's sophomore project, and I was not disappointed. HDTV is a brilliant showing of Ty's personality, and a clear evolution of his lyrical skills and production. There are so many awesome bangers and cool vibes, and Ty's charisma is on full display. A great album from a great artist. Check it out.
Roll through the city with the vroom vroom. I got hoes trying to get me in the room. I get low when it hit me with the zoom. I got foes in the semis and the deuce like boom boom.
A really unique and cool rap album with some bangers, vibes, solid lyrical skill, and an overall interesting evolution. I'm really excited to see what Token makes next.
Together with Tech and now we met a bit electrified. I reckon every time that we etch your rhyme, I recognize, never gonna rise. I'm a level on 5 times better with a bonus rim, and I'm at an when I get a center of a scope. Let a round out broken through, open a wound. There ain't no hope for you.
A great collab with stellar production, great vocals from Atlas and Gone, clever and poignant lyrics, and an awesome Tech 9 feature. Really excited to see what these two cook up next.
We are electric angels. We are the 6-string queens. We are the new dead Kennedys. In the land of the brave, all of the freaks.
Is this Panic's best album? No. But it's still an awesome project. The production is stellar, Brendan sounds phenomenal, the lyrics are really cool, and the entire album just has such an enjoyable, theatrical charm. I get this not being everyone's cup of tea, but I just really enjoy this kind of fun and passionate theatercore type stuff. Good work, Yuri, and now my favorite album of the year.
Nah, I got
Before Anthony Fantano had covered them in his weekly track roundup, I had never heard of this group. But after listening to some of their music, I've become a massive fan of them and their quirky, unique, and interesting style. So without further ado, here's Superorganism.
Welcome back to Black Hole, baby. Welcome back. So congrats, you've earned this trophy. Welcome back.
Worldwide Pop is an absolute masterpiece. Not only is there nothing even resembling a bad song on this album, but the entire thing is just such an enjoyably trippy and catchy journey through a field of phenomenal indie pop. From the second the opening track, Black Hole Baby, which is one of the best opening tracks of the entire year, plays, you are treated to a heavenly piece of some of the most creative and crazy indie pop of 2022. From the soothing and catchy bop It's Raining, to the enjoyably awesome Solar System, to the enjoyably vibey and crunchy Crush.Zip, to the insanely relaxing and cool Into the Sun, to the incredibly boppy On and On, to the solid title track, to the toe tapping and rhythmic Put Down Your Phone. God, every track on this thing just puts a warm smile on my face. OJ also sounds fantastic. Her voice is so smooth and warm, blending with the incredible production to make the album an incredibly warm and joyous experience. And she works off the other members and features effectively. And the lyrics and production are also top-notch. The lyrics have an enjoyably quirky and unique charm to them, and the production is just so heavenly. Like, this is easily some of the best production of the year, with some truly fantastic samples, groovy melodies, and an overall infectious and awesome energy. But what truly makes Worldwide Pop my favorite album of 2022 is just how fun it is. Worldwide Pop is just such an unabashedly charming and enjoyably off-the-wall album that just puts a big smile on my face whenever I listen to it. It's just such an unabashedly enjoyable experience that I always love listening to. Bottom line, I adore Worldwide Pop by Superorganism. It's an incredibly fun, off-the-wall album that just always puts a smile on my face. I know that most people probably wouldn't put this album as high as I did if they even put it on their list, but I just got so much joy from Worldwide Pop that there's no other place it could go than number one. Superorganism, I am now a massive fan of you guys, and I can't wait to see what you guys make next. Keep on ruling, mates. And with that, my best and worst albums vid, as well as 2022 listmas, has come to an end. Thanks to everyone who supported both of my channels. You guys absolutely rule. And comment below what you think of my picks, as well as your own list. And join me next time when we resume business as usual, and I fulfill my promise of parts 1 and 2 of Grab Bag 4, the 4th one. See y'all next time, and have a happy 2023.